Hello and welcome. I'm Ravi Mishra and you are watching News9 Live. Let's start with the update stories coming in from Israel-Gaza conflict zone. Israeli military spokesperson Richard Hecht announces a significant development in the Israel-Hamas conflict, revealing the discovery of approximately 1,500 bodies of Hamas terrorists within Israeli territory. Hecht also highlights that Israel has made substantial progress in gaining control of the southern region of the country and has restored full control over the border. So this is a new claim that 1,500 bodies have been recovered of Hamas terrorists from the Israeli region. The Hamas tried to give a huge setback, and initially Hamas got success in this terror effort, but when Israel started retaliating those terrorists, it is now being claimed that 1,500 bodies have been recovered from Israeli soil, and these are the bodies of those terrorists who attacked Israeli border and Israeli cities. There is another claim by Hamas group also that they have killed so many people. Around 1,000 people have been killed so far in their attack, but it is also being reported by some news agencies that 1,500 terrorists have been killed by Israeli army. You can see what kind of situation is right now in Gaza. The attacks are continuing from Israeli Air Force. Airstrikes are going on, and so much destruction has been observed, has been seen in Gaza city. Most of the buildings are under attack, and from midnight it started by Israeli Air Force, and it is continued. Meanwhile, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has said that we will hit back to the Hamas terrorists so that generations will remember the lesson. We are not going to step back. We are not going to be threatened by Hamas at any cost, and we will take our revenge. This is an unprecedented attack on Israel, and we are not going to be silent on this. So attacks are continued on Hamas establishments, Hamas groups, and as we can see that day and night this war is going on. Hamas is backed by Hezbollah, and they are also being backed by other terrorist groups who are trying to put pressure on Israel, trying to fuel up this war, this conflict. And Israel is getting support from all the West, from America, Britain and other countries, and they are also providing military assistance to Israel so that they can ensure that Israel finally win this war, which has been sparked by a huge and big terrorist attack by Hamas group. And as Israel responds to the Hamas attack, the Gaza Strip could be on the blink of new humanitarian crisis. Israeli authorities Monday ordered a complete siege and an immediate cut to water supply to the Gaza Strip, which receives about 10% of its annual water from Israel. The area is home to about 2.3 million people. Since the Hamas attacks on Saturday morning, Israel has stopped all supplies entering Gaza, including food, medicine, electricity, and fuel supplies were cut off from Gaza 2 days ago. Meanwhile, there is a threat from Hamas group that they have threatened Israeli government that they can kill all the hostages if Israel is not stopping its attack on Gaza. They have issued pictures, as you can see. These are the pictures of those people who have been captured by Hamas, and now the Netanyahu government is being threatened by Hamas that they will kill these people, these hostages, one by one if the attacks from Israeli army is not being stopped right now. So let's look at the facts. Dozens of Israeli hostages, including women and children, taken by Hamas. So many people, including women and children. Hostage situation complicates potential Israeli military operations because that will be a different kind of pressure on the Israeli government and the army. Hostages may range from dozens to up to 100, and that's why Hamas is threatening the Israeli army and the government. Reports investigate claims of American and British citizens among the captive, not just Israeli citizens, and foreign nationals, including Nepalis and Thais, also taken as hostages. So this is a complicated situation for the government, and this can be a new challenge to handle because Hamas has threatened Israeli army and the government that if the attacks are not being hold, they can kill one by one all the hostages. Qatari mediators have held urgent calls with Hamas officials to try to negotiate freedom for Israeli women and children seized by the militant group and held in Gaza, in exchange for the release of 36 Palestinian women and children from Israeli prison. So there is a kind of exchange offer from the Hamas, and Qatari negotiators are involving in this dialogue process so that this exchange can take place. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is leading a meeting with security officials to evaluate the situation in the wake of a surprise assault by Hamas. Israel still grappling with the unprecedented attacks launched by the Islamist group through ground, air and sea has sadly recorded over 700 casualties. In response, Israel has unleashed a relentless wave of a strike on Gaza, resulting a tragic death toll of 560 people in that region. So war is going on, and Israel is determined to destroy all the militant and terrorist groups in Gaza. That's why this situation is getting serious every day. Day and night attacks are being conducted by the Israeli Air Force and Israeli Army. Tanks are being mobilized to the Gaza border. That's why there is a concern about more casualties. This death toll will be increased if this war is not stopped as soon as possible.
אני קורא למנהיגי האופוזיציה להקים מיד ממשלת חירום לאומית ללא תנאים מוקדמים.
And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is calling upon the opposition to come together for the sake of national unity without setting any conditions, much like what happened before in 1967's Six-Day War. The Prime Minister emphasizes the need for leadership to unite and urges opposition leaders to establish an emergency national unity government immediately, similar to what occurred during the Six-Day War under Menachem Begin's leadership. And it's a call by Benjamin Netanyahu to unite all the opposition in this critical and emergency situation so that they would not face the same thing happened in 1967, Six-Day War. And images released by the Israeli army show Israeli strike on what they say are Hamas targets. Palestinian militant group Hamas, which dragged off about 150 people in its surprise weekend assault on Israel, threatened to execute the hostages if Israeli airstrikes continue targeting Gaza residents without warning. So Hamas has threatened that they will kill all those people who are right now captive if these airstrikes are not stopped, if the Israeli Air Force continue targeting Gaza residents without warning. So different pictures are coming in from the war zone, from the conflict zone. You can see these pictures that Israeli security personnel are chasing those terrorists of Hamas, and they're trying to neutralize those people who are still hiding in the cities and trying to attack the common people of Israel. The action is on, and you can see how that these terrorists, these militants are being surrounded by the security personnel and being shot after initial warning. They are being chased and being neutralized by them. And there is another picture coming in. Car dash cam records terrorists shooting at vehicles on the highway. You can see how terrorists are shooting at those vehicles on the highway, and entire attack was recorded by the car dash camera. You can see that how the glass of the camera, the front glass of the camera was broken while these terrorists, these militant were shooting at this car. So this kind of situation is happening right now in Israel. People are scared moving here and there. They are trying to save their lives because no one has idea that where terrorists could be and where this kind of clash can take place. And Israel continued to pound sites in Gaza. Israel carried out further strikes to punish Hamas for its large-scale attack on its soil. So, committed to take revenge, Israel is still bombing Gaza and still bombing all the places of Hamas. And you can see even in the midnight, there is a continued airstrike, air attack in Gaza City. So it's a continued attack on different areas of Gaza City, massive loss to Hamas, and still this is going on as the Prime Minister of Israel has stated that we are not going to stop until the entire capabilities of Hamas and entire structure of Hamas is demolished we will teach those terrorists a lesson so that generations will remember this lesson, and we will ensure that soil of Israel will be secured and no further attack will happen. And IDF soldiers engage in intense battle with Hamas at several places, and you can see that this is a college campus where strikes happen, and you can see that the smoke is billowing, and someone tried to capture those pictures of destruction, and indiscriminately this attack is taking place. All the structures, buildings, high-rise are under this attack from Israeli Air Force and Israeli missile brigade. There is a street fight also, and both of the sides are fighting on the street. On the other hand, you have seen that how the airstrike is continued. And IDF soldiers engage in intense battle with Hamas at several places. IDF has been fighting from street to regain control of its territories, and it is a different kind of challenge on the ground, because initially Hamas entered into different areas, different cities of Israel, and they controlled and captured these areas. They took people as hostage. Now it's a challenge before the Israeli security forces, the IDF, to regain those areas and gain the total control of those areas. You can see that how fences were destroyed by bulldozers, by JCB machines, and this was a unique kind of war strategy that Hamas adopted this time, and they entered into the Israeli soil. Right now, fight is going to regain the control over those areas which were attacked by Hamas militants. Moving to the next picture, smoke billowing in Gaza after Israeli airstrike. Several parts of Gaza neighborhood have been hit by Israeli missiles. You can see how devastating pictures are coming out from the different parts of Gaza. So many people have been killed so far. It is also reported that 1,500 dead bodies have been recovered so far after this series of attack by Israeli Air Force and Israeli missile brigade. So this is the latest picture from Gaza city, where you can see that a big amount of smoke is billowing, touching the sky, coming out from those buildings which were hit by the missile attack from Israel. This is a common picture from different parts of Gaza. Smoke is rising out from different parts of cities as these attacks are continue, and Israeli army is committed to destroy all the settlements or all the centers of Hamas. They are trying to give an adequate answer of that attack which was conducted by Hamas earlier, and Israeli government is not ready to negotiate at any point with Hamas right now. This was an unprecedented attack, and everybody was shocked by this surprise attack from the Hamas group. And Israeli actor Leo Raz, known worldwide for his television series Fauda, which he drew an experience of Israeli Defense Forces IDF, took to the front line of Israeli war against Hamas by joining a group of volunteers, brothers in arms. You can see him in this visual. He joined this group, and from the southern Israeli town of sderot, the actor shared a video on social media that showed him accompanied by the president of the Israeli Democracy Institute, Yohana, and journalist Avi Yashach-Rov. So this is a different kind of picture from the front line of Israel and Gaza. You can see that the actor is sharing this video, and this video was captured in Sderot city, where the actor was present, and he shot this video while attacks were going on. This video was shared on social media and showing him that he joined this group at war front. Moving to the next story, pro-Palestinian protesters hold up banners and give speeches outside the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta. They raised slogans and delivered speeches outside the U.S. Embassy, as we all know that U.S. has supported Israel in this wartime, and these protesters came out on the street. These are pro-Palestinian protesters, hold up banners and give speeches outside the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta. Such kind of protests are being conducted globally, and we have seen that so many people have showed their solidarity, support with Palestinian Authority. On the other hand, there were protests in support of Israel also, and this picture came from Jakarta, outside the U.S. Embassy, where this group delivered speeches in support of Hamas and Palestine. And hundreds of people gathered for a march in Argentina's capital to show their support for Israel, a country that lost at least 7 of its citizens in attack carried out by militant group Hamas, resulting in hundreds of casualties. During this rally, hundreds of voices joined together to sing the Israeli national anthem, demonstrating their solidarity with Israel. So this is a different kind of picture. Earlier we saw that in Jakarta, people were supporting Hamas and Palestinian group, while this picture shows the solidarity sense of people who came out from their houses and joined together to sing the Israeli national anthem.
Las banderas son impresentables, son unos canallas. La lucha contra el terrorismo.
And images released by Israeli army on 10 show Israeli strikes on what they say are Hamas targets. While we can see that how people are coming out on the street to support Israel. They're raising their voice, they're raising slogans in support of Israeli force, and showing their solidarity with the people of Israel. And the Israeli military has been focusing on the tunnels in the region. Hamas has been using the tunnels to infiltrate southern Israel. And Adit Raj Kaul gives an insight of these Hamas tunnels which are being used by Hamas terrorists.
Well, at this moment, we are very close to the international border between Israel and Gaza. We've often heard, all across the international media, a lot of narrative, a lot of propaganda as well on what exactly happens here. But at this moment, we are at the bank inside a tunnel that was detected a few years back. And this was a tunnel that was used by a terrorist organization, Islamist jihadis as well as Hamas, to in fact raise havoc on the innocent Israeli citizens. These tunnels that we are standing here right behind me, you can see this tunnel. You can very well see how, this is a 2.5 kilometer long tunnel, 900 meters well within the Israeli territory that was used by the Islamist jihadis to in fact do smuggling, a lot of weapons also being brought in to in fact have these attacks. And right now we have a very important guest with us, Colonel Jonathan Conricus, who is the former international spokesperson of the IDF. I want to begin by asking you, before we go to the tunnels, that we've heard you often, I've seen your videos, in international media, and we've seen a lot of propaganda against Israel. We've seen a lot of narrative as if, there is Israeli occupation, Israel, if one were to believe the news reports, it's almost that every Palestinian house is an Israeli soldier standing outside, and there are attacks happening every day. Please give us a clear picture, because we're standing back here. What's exactly happening here?
What's happening is that we have Israeli communities just hundreds of meters by us, and we're standing in a tunnel that was supposed to allow Hamas terrorists to get to those communities and kill Israeli civilians. We have a border about 900 meters away, which is monitored and patrolled by Israeli soldiers, and the purpose of that border is to keep the terrorists in Gaza and to keep Israeli civilians safe. What I urge people is to believe or to visit themselves if they can, and if they cannot, to consume news from credible sources from the ground, with less propaganda, as you said, and with more real information. It's a complex situation, but what I can assure you, as somebody who served in the IDF for 24 years, is that the IDF is, first of all, committed to the security of the State of Israel and Israeli civilians. But it is also committed to international law, and it tries in all of its operations to minimize the influence of its operations on Palestinian civilians, and it tries to distinguish between civilians and combatants, terrorists. What makes it very difficult is that the terrorists don't look like soldiers. They all try very hard to look like civilians. They hide from the using civilians as their human shields, and they use infrastructure like the one we have behind us in order to get to our civilians, to the Israeli civilians, and to attack them. So it's far more complex than is often portrayed in international media.
Adit Raj Kaul telling us how these tunnels are being used by the Hamas terrorists. Moving on to the next report, the continuing war between Israel and Palestine has caused massive destruction in both Gaza and Israel. Take a look at this report where News9 takes you to Ashdod in South Israel, providing an intimate look into the impact of Israel-Gaza conflict on the lives of everyday people.
अशकलोन वो इलाका है जहां पर सबसे ज्यादा आप त्रासदी या बर्बादी की तस्वीरें देख सकते हैं। ये साउथ इजराइल का वो इलाका है जहां पर सबसे ज्यादा रॉकेट दागे गए थे। लगातार इस इलाके में हम ग्राउंड रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं। टीवी9 भारतवर्ष वो अकेला चैनल है जो आपको इन डेप्थ रिपोर्टिंग करते हुए बता रहा है कि आखिरकार जो खबरें आप सुन रहे हैं इजराइल के बारे में, उनकी सच्चाई क्या है, उनके हालात कैसे हैं इजराइल के इन इलाकों के जहां पर ये वॉर चल रही है। और मैं इस समय ऐसे ही एक घर पे हूं जिसको कल बताया जा रहा है कि अटैक किया गया था। ये देखिए, लगातार अगर आप देखें पूरा घर बर्बाद हो चुका है। पूरे घर में किस तरीके के आलम है, किस तरीके के हालात हैं। देखिए, इस पर अटैक हुआ था रॉकेट से और अब ये पूरा घर बर्बाद हो चुका है। पूरा घर टूट फूट चुका है। लोग यहाँ से जा चुके हैं, उनको विस्थापित कर दिया जा चुका है। लेकिन हालत क्या है ये मैं आपको दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ। देखिए, बच्चों की किताबें, बच्चों के खिलौने, आपको घर का साजो सामान सब आपको यहाँ पर बिखरे हुए नज़र आ जाएंगे, आपको दिख जाएगा कि कैसे सब कुछ तहस नहस हो चुका है। यानी हमास ने जिस तरीके से रॉकेट दागे थे उसके बाद क्या हालत है ये हम आपको दिखाने की कोशिश करें। देखिए ये घर है, इस घर के सारे अप्लायंसेस यानी फ्रिज, टीवी सब टूट चुके हैं। ऊपर की इमारत पर अगर आप देखेंगे तो आपको नज़र आ जाएगा कि पूरी जल चुकी है। और ये 2-3 घर थे, यहाँ पर इन घरों के अंदर उनके जो मोटरसाइकिल स्कूटर्स खड़े हैं वो भी यहाँ पर जल चुके हैं, आधे जले हैं। और ये देखिए कहाँ से रॉकेट आया होगा वो भी दिखा देता हूँ आपको। यहाँ से देखिए पूरी क्या इम्पैक्ट रहा होगा इस जगह पर इस रॉकेट्स का। आप देखिए इसकी दीवारें तक, इसकी ऊपर जो चीज़ें हैं वो तक खोखली हो चुकी है। ये पूरा हिस्सा जो है इसका जल चुका है। और देखिए ये कुछ आलम है, मैं आपको बता रहा था कि इजराइल के सदर्न एरिया का, इजराइल सदर्न एरिया में, और ये वो इलाका है जो गाज़ा पट्टी के ठीक साथ लगता हुआ एरिया है। और ये समय वॉर जोन का सबसे बड़ा इम्पैक्टफुल एरिया है। कई जगहों पर मल्टीपल अटैक्स किए गए थे। देखिए जिस दिन अटैक किया गया था उस दिन ना सिर्फ हमास के जो मिलिटेंट्स थे वो इन इलाकों में घुसे, बल्कि जैसे ही उन्होंने जगहों को कैप्चर किया उसके बाद लगातार अटैक होने शुरू हो गए। 5000 से ज़्यादा बताया जा रहा है रॉकेट दागे गए थे। और उसके बाद अभी भी इन्हीं इलाकों में रॉकेट दागे भी जा रहे हैं। हम आज भी इन इलाकों के जब अलग अलग हिस्सों में घूम रहे थे, हमारे सामने कई घरों को लाइव बर्बाद किया गया है, रॉकेट से टारगेट किया गया। मल्टीपल रॉकेट्स दागे जा रहे हैं जिसमें से आयरन डोम जो है वो कईयों को निष्क्रिय कर देता है, लेकिन फिर भी कई जगहों को टारगेट कर देता है। और ये देखिए क्या हालत है। हालांकि इस घर को पूरी तरीके से खाली करा दिया गया है। बच्चों के खिलौने, दवाइयाँ, आपको उनके कपड़े, अप्लायंसेस सब कुछ तहस नहस नज़र आ जाएगा। और ये तस्वीरें हैं इस समय इजराइल की, कुछ ऐसी तस्वीरें जो आपको दिखाने के लिए, आपको समझाने की कोशिश करती हैं कि इस समय क्या हालात हैं इजराइल के। इजराइल जिसे सुपर पावर कहा जा रहा था, जिसको इसके इंटेलिजेंस और चीज़ों के बारे में बातें होती थी, वहाँ की हालत क्या है। और इन्हीं एरियाज़ के अंदर हमास के कई आतंकियों ने या फिर आपके कई लोगों ने, इनके मिलिटेंट्स ने, इन्होंने घरों में जाकर कैप्चर करने की कोशिश भी की थी, यहाँ से लोगों को ले जाने की भी कोशिश की। और यही इलाके हैं जहाँ से ये ग्राउंड रिपोर्ट दिखाते हुए TV9 भारतवर्ष आपको असलियत से रूबरू कराना चाहता है, जो यहाँ की असलियत है। हम इस समय सderot के रास्ते आगे बढ़ रहे हैं और उसी समय हमें ये दिखाई पड़ा कि यहाँ पर किस तरीके से हमास की तरफ से जो अटैक किए गए थे उसके बाद लगातार ये मंजर है। और ये देखिए ये सारे इलाके वो हैं जो गाज़ा पट्टी के बेहद करीब हैं। ये देखिए पूरे इस गाड़ी को तो परखच्चे उड़ गए जिस पे रॉकेट दागे गए थे। बताया जा रहा है कि कल भी इस तरीके के रॉकेट दागे गए हैं और इन इलाकों में लगातार हमास की तरफ से रॉकेट दागे जा रहे हैं। हालांकि आयरन डोम की मदद से ज़्यादातर निष्क्रिय किए जा रहे हैं, लेकिन फिर भी कुछ रॉकेट जो हैं वो रिहायशी इलाकों पर गिर रहे हैं। और देखिए मंजर देखिए, ये ना सिर्फ यहाँ आपको यहाँ नज़र आएगा ये डिस्ट्रक्शन, आप स्प्लिंटर्स के निशान देख सकते हैं दीवारों पे, कितना मैसिव, कितना भारी भरकम अटैक रहा होगा। और ये देखिए स्प्लिंटर्स के निशान आप घर के अंदर और घर के बाहर दोनों जगह देख सकते हैं। और ये देखिए दूसरी तरफ मैं आपको दिखाऊँ इनका जो डिस्ट्रक्शन था, जो इनका इम्पैक्ट था वो कितना ज़्यादा था कि आसपास हर जगह पर आपको ऐसे कुछ निशान नजर आए। आप कुछ कदम चलेंगे आपको गाड़ियां बर्बाद नजर आ जाएंगी। ये दूसरी तरफ घर है, इसमें भी इस तरीके की बर्बादी, तबाही हुई है। ये देखिए यहाँ पर भी एक रॉकेट गिरा था और इसके अंदर भी आप देखिए बच्चों के खेलने की जगह थी। पूरे इलाके को किस तरीके से, पूरे घर को किस तरीके से क्षति पहुंची है। यहाँ एक और निशाना मैं आपको दिखा देता हूँ। दूसरी तरफ देखिए कि आप सिर्फ जाते रहिए इन इलाकों के अंदर। ये वो इलाके हैं जो सबसे ज़्यादा प्रभावित हुए थे उस समय। और ये देखिए पूरी तरीके से इन इलाकों को बर्बाद कर दिया गया है। पूरी तरीके से यहाँ पर कितनी तबाही हुई है। आप ये देखिए कि हर दूसरी गाड़ी में आपको इस तरीके के निशान नज़र आ जाएंगे। और स्प्लिंटर्स के निशान अगर आप देखें, जो इम्पैक्ट था उस रॉकेट का वो उनकी उनके दीवारों पर आपको नज़र आ जाएगा। और ये हालत है इस समय यहाँ पर लोगों की, या फिर आप कह सकते हैं कि ये हालत है इस समय। यहाँ के लोग दहशत में हैं, यहाँ के लोग बहुत ज़्यादा दहशत में भी है और परेशान भी है। लेकिन अभी भी कहा जा रहा है कि धीरे धीरे करके ये रॉकेट दागे जा रहे हैं इन इलाकों में। और हम TV9 भारतवर्ष की टीम आपको इन इलाकों में लेकर आई है, आपको बता रही है। हम कल से आपको रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं। देखिए कई स्प्लिंटर्स के जो छोटे छोटे आपको वो नज़र आ जाएंगे स्प्लिंटर्स के चीज़ें। और इसके अलावा अगर आप देखें तो लगातार इन इलाकों में हालांकि फोर्सेस जो हैं वो आ रही हैं लोगों की मदद के लिए, लेकिन फिर भी ये देखिए किस तरीके से पूरे घर के आगे का हिस्सा जो है, जो प्रेमिसेस होता है, गार्डन एरिया बर्बाद कर दिया गया है। और ये हर दूसरे घर की यही निशानी है, या फिर हर दूसरे घर में इसी तरीके का मंजर आपको देखने को मिलेगा। और ये हालत है इस समय। हम इस समय आगे बढ़ रहे हैं सderot की तरफ। और आपको बता दूं कि जब ये शनिवार के दिन जब अटैक किया था हमास के आतंकियों ने, तब भी यही इलाके थे जो सबसे ज़्यादा प्रभावित हुए। इन 3-4 इलाकों में उन्होंने घुसपैठ की थी और उसके बाद वो लोग वहाँ से आगे बढ़े थे। और ये देखिए, मैं आपको एक बार फिर वो नज़ारा दिखा देता हूँ। आपको नज़र आएगा कि इसमें कुछ जो चीज़ें हैं वो उस रॉकेट के भी जो शेल्स हैं, शेल्स का जो टुकड़े होते हैं स्टील्स के, वो आपको नज़र आ जाएंगे इसके अंदर। और ये पूरा डिस्ट्रक्शन, या फिर आप कह सकते हैं कि पूरी तबाही आपको इसराइल के साउथ के एरिया में, सदर्न एरिया में आपको देखने को मिल जाएगी।
TV9 correspondent Sumit Chaudhary reporting from the war zone of Israel. Moving to the next story, images released by the Israeli army show Israeli strikes on what they say are Hamas targets. Palestinian militant group Hamas, which dragged off about 150 people in its surprise weekend assault on Israel, threatened to execute the hostages if Israeli airstrikes continue targeting Gaza residents without warning. Now the reason behind capturing people has come out. Now Hamas has warned Israeli Air Force stop targeting Gaza resident, otherwise they will execute all those hostages one by one after every strike. These are the pictures of Gaza City, a massive airstrike being carried out by Israeli Air Force, and one by one they are hitting all the Hamas centers, as they believe that Hamas terrorists are hiding behind these buildings. Now you can see these are the pictures. War has entered into day 4, but these are the pictures of day 3, and you can see how airstrike is being done. Hundreds of rockets are being targeted fired, targeting Israeli cities, while the Iron Dome is active, and Iron Dome is destroying all these rockets in the air. That is a unique air defense system adopted by Israeli army, and now the world can see how this Iron Dome is working when Hamas is targeting Israeli cities by attacking with these multiple rockets at the same time. Now you can see these pictures, how the multi-story buildings collapsed and people came out on the roads. They are just searching those people who could be possibly are trapped under the debris of these destroyed structures. On the other hand, there are so many volunteers coming out. People are crying for their family members who lost their lives in this revenge by Israel. Sorrow and anger, both can be seen in these pictures. These are the pictures when war entered into its day 3. People are running here and there, trying to save their families. You can see this man is carrying 2 children and trying to keep them at safe places. People are, searching dead bodies under these debris and mourning of death. With every passing day, this is a common picture of Gaza right now. As Israel continues striking the resident areas of Gaza, and Israel has announced that they will keep it continue. You can see in this picture how rockets are being fired over this city, and that's why Israeli Army and Air Force is targeting these areas, because they observed that those rockets fired towards the Israeli cities came out from these places, and that's why they are keeping their attack continue, targeting these resident areas of Gaza. On the other hand, you can see this picture how people are trying to save their lives in the metro tunnel as red siren has been alarmed, and now in this picture you can see the tanks are being mobilized to the border areas, to the war front. Israeli tanks are moving towards the border areas to target the Hamas centers, and this picture is from Gaza City. You can see how these buildings were hit by the airstrike of Israeli Air Force and destroyed in seconds after this attack. Huge buildings, but they are demolished. They have come down after this attack, and in every part of Gaza City, wherever Israeli authorities have a doubt that Hamas is hiding, they are targeting it. And families and soldiers stood in funeral for their loved ones today, with explosions of falling rockets in the background. So this is a very disturbing picture, while people are there to pay their tribute to families and soldiers, but at the same time explosions were taking place and they were trying to save their lives also. So there is no safe place in Gaza, explains Gaza inhabitant after the UNRWA school was damaged by an Israeli airstrike in Gaza. Israel pounded Hamas targets for the third consecutive day. You can see how the entire structure was destroyed by the attack from Israeli Air Force. And journalist Saeed al-Tawil killed in a bombing in west of Gaza City. Journalist Hisham al-Nawajeh killed after the warplanes bombing Burj Haji west of the Gaza City. So all the reporters and journalists who are covering this war, this conflict, are also being hit by the attacks from both of the sides, and they lost their lives. You can see these pictures of those killed journalists. Saeed al-Tawil, who was killed in bombing in west of Gaza City, and Hisham was also killed after the warplanes bombing Burj Haji. So this is all for now. Keep watching News9 Live.
He thought he could outlast us. And 1 year later, the evidence is right here in this room.
Who will blink first?
So far from preventing the expansion of NATO, Russian actions have actually resulted in the expansion of NATO.
It's a mess for Russia, and it's a mess for the Western world, for NATO and the United States.
Putin is a dictator, and if he loses, that means the end of his regime, and probably of him personally. So he has to keep going.
Year 2, no end.